All right, everyone, it's 3 o'clock and I'll go on and get started. And one of the things I got to remember too, I walk around, but I've got to be very careful now because we are recording and I want to be sure I stay in the camera view. So I had to remind myself and I have to be sure to remind my speakers. But anyway, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad everybody's here. And I know that we've got some new folks that have joined us, and that's even more awesome because we are here as a support group for education, to share about exercise, and really to socialize. It's the reason why we started at 2:30. But I want to introduce myself. My name is Mary Jane Berry. And for some of you guys that are new, just so you'll know, my connection with Parkinson is my husband has had Parkinson's now for almost 20 years. And he is that handsome gentleman back there that is giving out the door prize tickets. So hopefully everybody got a door prize ticket. Um, and if he promised you a new car, I'm sorry, we're fresh out. But he likes to do that sometimes. But anyway, I want to be sure and thank my Zoom team. They've already started recording. This meeting is recorded. I will have it in the next newsletter so that you will be able to, if you want to watch it again or share it with others, you really want to do that because we've got a special guest with the Michael J. Fox Foundation that will be speaking to us. Again, talked about door prizes. We got the door prizes right here, so be sure you get that ticket. For some of you guys, you may or may not know, this is Parkinson Awareness Month. April is identified as that. April 11th was World Parkinson Day. And that was pretty interesting. We had a really neat, fun event in Sun City on World Parkinson Day. It was a kind of a step, but it was kind of like a step machine. And I have my Sun City reps here, Beth and Kathy, and we did over 200,000 steps that we registered nationally. 245 steps for Parkinson awareness, and it was done. So a round of applause for our Sun City Fitness team. Okay, good job. Good job. All righty. The agenda for today, of course, is the socials, always from 2:30 to 3. Please come early and grab some good cookies, as well as to get to meet some of our sponsor events and sponsors. And then we have some more over here on both sides. Okay. Okay. Excuse it. Well, yeah, you're not in the camera, but
I just have to tell you, I'm Chris. My husband had Parkinson's for 20 years. He did die, but I've been with Cindy Martin over there doing the art, and I am not very artistic at all. So I just want to let you know, go over there, talk to her because she does really helps you out and does step by step. And we did birdhouses Tuesday, and I made that one birdhouse and then hers is the other one. So I just want to let you know that even if you don't have any artistic ability, come to painting. It's the fourth Tuesday of the month.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right. That's an enthusiastic GAPS member. So thank you very, very much on that. And so anyway, always I encourage you to always come early, 2:30 to 3 for our social. And then we are going to do some announcements. And then I've got down here 3 to 3:20 fitness, but it's fitness and the announcements. And then we'll have our meeting speaker. And our speaker, of course, this month is going to be Alejandra from Lopez. And how do you pronounce the last name? Noeke. All right. And she's going to talk about and give us the latest on Parkinson research. And all of a sudden, my sound is doing a little something weird. So hopefully it'll be okay. Goodness gracious, what happened? Okay. So we're going t-shirts. In the back corner, we have some t-shirts. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I'll step maybe a little away a little bit. Anyway, we do have t-shirts. If you want one, we do a $10 donation. And then this is when we thank our sponsors. Our sponsors make it possible for us to have funding for the meetings as well as for the refreshments and for our various classes that I'll be talking about in just a moment. Our first sponsor I'd like to introduce is Abby. And Abby is being represented by Meredith. Meredith, you'd like to stand up? And this is the Duopa. And so she will be answering any questions you have. So that's one of the reasons to come to our sponsors. The next one is going to be, Abby also is having a survey This is in my newsletter. This was a survey that they've extended for another month. So the month of May, you can still get in this. I'll have the link in my newsletter. And if you complete the survey, it's just asking them, they just want to ask you some questions. They will still give you $75. A pretty good deal. All right. Then we have annual, and that's going to be Jill. But Jill was not able to make it. She's with Ritari, and unfortunately, she's not able to make it, but she'll be here next month, she said. We have Amy Dukes with Arcadia. Amy, stand up. There you go. This is Miss Amy. And again, our sponsors are awesome, and we just really appreciate them so much. But this is in regards for hallucinations or delusions. So if you have any questions on that, Amy's your gal to talk to. We also have Medtronic. They were not able to make it. This is one of our DBS units. We have Supernus. Supernus has quite a few Parkinson meds, and they are a wonderful group, but unfortunately, they were not able to make it this month, but they'll be back next month. Abbott is a DBS, and this is Donnie, and he was not able to make it, but again, their funding helps us, so still acknowledging them. Same with Boston Scientific. This is another DBS. So, by the way, I got a phone call from someone who unfortunately had he'd fail, but he had a DBS unit, and he was in Galveston, and it was like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Because they wanted to do some X-rays, and they weren't able. They were scared to do X-rays, so they called me. And what's very fortunate is that I can call these reps up, and they will immediately contact the doctors, even if you're not in this area. So they were able to contact in Galveston, and they were able to help him out. So just keep that in mind, to know that we're so fortunate to know how to get a hold of these reps. If you ever have a question on a med or a DBS unit, that we can get in contact with them, which is awesome. Another sponsor we have is Grand Living. That's a really nice big area, and this is where we have our educational luncheons. And it's a beautiful facility. But if you do come to our educational luncheons, I'll be talking about one in a minute. It's beautiful, beautiful. All care therapies. Okay, and this is Jennifer Jan, and All Care Therapy is one of our supporters for this month. And as you can see, we've got the pictures of their owners here on the bottom of this slide. But the point is, they also had one of their speech therapists teach our speech therapy, our voice exercise class. So it was wonderful. We had JD Bush. It was great. But anyway, we're just delighted that Jennifer is representing them. So if you have some questions on physical therapy, occupational therapy, or speech therapy, these are the people to talk to. All right. Accorda. Accorda is another one of our sponsors, and they have Embresia. Embresia is it's kind of like a carryover med for off times. So they unfortunately are not here, but you will get to meet them in person, as well as if you know Meredith with Dr. Swallow's office, she will be the speaker for Accorda on May the 10th. On May the 10th, she will be your speaker, and it'll be at the Grand Living that I just mentioned just a moment ago. And it's going to be wonderful, free lunch, and you get to ask any questions and to learn more about this med. So the thing is, you need to sign up. So again, this will be in your newsletters and your emails that I send out. So just click on the sign in link and sign up for them, and just join us. Join us. It's good. Caregivers meeting for my caregivers. We meet on May the 9th at 2:00, and we will actually meet here at the First Baptist Church, but on the educational wing, which is the building right next door. And we encourage our caregivers to come. We average probably between 15 and 25. It just varies. And a lot of men come. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of laughter, as well as just a lot of sharing. And the confidentiality is the rule. And they're good meetings. So if you're a caregiver and want to come, you're welcome to. Speaking of caregivers, there's a conference coming up. I'd like to really encourage you guys to come to this conference. It's going to be a caregiver conference. They will be talking on not only dementia, but also with Parkinson. Dr. Bertelson is just excellent. And Dr. Theo also helps out with Parkinson's. I really encourage you to try to come to this one. In fact, I was just talking to, I believe it's Amy. Amy, you're going to be there also? Yep. And GAPS will have a table there too. So please sign up for this. Totally free. And this includes breakfast and lunch. So good deal. But this is in Austin. So yeah, brave the traffic. Run to Austin. Okay. Now, right here in Georgetown at the Worship Place, which is in Sun City, we are going to have, and we were kind of helping to sponsor it. This is with the Worship Place and their caregiver ministry, but it is Tam Cummings. Now, if you've never heard Tam Cummings speak, she's excellent. She is a gerontologist, but with her specialty in dementia. She is very, very, very smart and has a lot of information to share. And I will share with you, though, she's very blunt, meaning that, I mean, she tells it like it is, but then she gives you a lot of tips. And so I recommend that. If you have any questions or if you just want to learn a little bit more about dementia, this is an excellent presentation to go to. Again, totally free. These are all the exercise classes we have. As you can see, there's some pictures up there, which is difficult to see. For those on the Zoom, they get to see it really, really good. So if you ever want to go back and look on Zoom, um, you get these slides really clear. So it's much, much better on a Zoom presentation. But in any case, we offer vocal exercise on Mondays, and that's wonderful. And then on the opposite, on the second and fourth is vocal exercise. On the first, third, and fifth is singing. And we have some professional singers and a piano player, and we're going to be doing more and more for that. On Tuesdays, we're very, very fortunate that the Sun City Fitness has opened it up not only for Sun City residents, but also for anyone that would like to come to their classes. And that's at 1:15 to 2 o'clock. And it's wonderful. Tuesday is usually more on kind of a little bit of boxing and different things like that. And then Thursday they have some other stuff, but it's a great workout that you're welcome to come to. Then on Wednesdays, we did have chair yoga. We've our instructor for right now, but we're working to get another instructor and we will get her. But we have partnered with Power for Parkinson's. And I don't know, I mean, just raise your hand. How many have been to the Power for Parkinson class? If you look around, there's a lot. It's a really fun class. So we encourage you to be sure and check out these classes. Again, they're all free. The Sun City class, there is a little charge with that one, just as it would be for residents too. Let me see. We have ping pong on Thursdays, and you're welcome to come to that. And there's a contact number on how to find out. That's at the Georgetown Rec Center. And then brain games. We also have brain games, which is just once a month. That's going to be on Fridays. But once a month, we also have, as Chris mentioned, we have our art therapy class. And I've got another slide on that I'll be talking about. But then lastly, I want to be sure and share about boxing. We have 413 Fitness and Boxing at Grand Living. We've got 413 right here with us. You'll get to meet Christy and learn a little bit more. And wonderful class, wonderful workouts. Oh, here's the slide now for the art. So Cindy, if you want to stand up and wave, Cindy is our instructor for the art classes. Yes, good job. And go by and check it out. We've noticed that a lot of our attendance has dropped a little bit, but this is totally free and it's fun, and you get to take the items home, whatever you do, collage, art, birdhouse, whatever. So it's a really fun class. The other slide I have up here, which is with the brain lifting up a weight, is the brain games. And again, what's really nice about this, that's coming up tomorrow. And there's still time to sign up tomorrow if you would like. It's the fourth Friday. But what's really neat about this one is you get a free lunch with this one. This is going to be right off of Williams Drive. There's there's a facility, independent living. It's called the Oaks Gracious Living. And it's great. And it's very, very nice. So I encourage you to check out some of these things. Again, totally free, both of these. Monthly socials. We started a monthly social. We had our first monthly social last week. And we went to HEB and had barbecue. It was great. And it was about 22 of us that showed up. It was a wonderful turnout, just a chance to visit. And then we're going to have another one that's coming up that the program team has already got together. And it's going to be on May 16th. It's going to be at Mulligan's. And that's going to be Mulligan's in Sun City. And I heard there's door prizes and all sorts of fun stuff. So check it out. And again, there's not a fundraiser. We don't hit you up for money. We don't do anything. There's a chance for just talking and visiting, and you'll enjoy it. Now, I mentioned this last two meetings, and I'm going to tell you it's happened, and it's out there. Parkinson disease, let's see, PMDA, Parkinson Movement Disorder Alliance. has already signed up, and we have a national Parkinson conference in Austin. This is our very first time to have one in Austin, and it was wonderful. I went to it 2 years ago in Washington, D.C., and it's just fabulous. It was really, really good. So check out my email because I've got how you can register for it, all the information about it. But it's PMD Alliance, and it's going to be November 20th and 21st in Austin. So check that out. And then, of course, as you know, our mantra is to educate and to exercise and socialize. So with that said, we're going to talk about exercise. And Miss Christy, come on up. This Christy was just wonderful and came. Well, we were already going, and she came and let us know when she started the gym, and it's just fabulous. Christy Richards is the owner and the CEO of 413 Boxing and Fitness, and she is going to demonstrate. If you do it up here, we can. Yep. The only thing is, we do need to use the
Microphone.
Okay.
She thinks I'm not loud enough. So everyone, so you've been sitting for a little bit. So I want to just kind of wake up your brain a little bit before I get you really out of your chair. So Mary Jane, can I put the microphone down there just so I can demonstrate real quick?
Yeah.
What I want you to do is put up one finger. And on the other hand, I want you to put up two fingers. Okay? It helps if you stick your tongue out. What I want you to do is I want you to switch this hand to two fingers and this hand to one finger. Switch. 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 Told you it helps if you stick your tongue out, just don't bite it. Switch. Switch. Told you. Switch. 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 See, I can do it. Talking to you. All right. Great. Lovely assistant today to help me. Miss Jane knows that I created a YouTube video. Jude Watsons, would y'all join me, please? I created a video probably when we did COVID on how to get off the floor. That is one of my biggest passions with what I do. My grandmother laid on the bathroom floor for 9 hours before someone found her. She'd gotten out of the bathtub, was naked, and fell on the bathroom floor. And she laid there until my aunt got there the next day because she wasn't answering her phone. This was before I opened the gym. But when that happened, I was like, you know what? It's not about biceps. It's not about six-pack abs. It is about you having a quality of life. So I have asked Craig and Judy, they are one of my fighters in Cornerman. They are going to demonstrate to you while I talk them through it, how to get you off the floor. Now, two things. Mary Jane's going to send you the video so that you have it. All of us know when we catch on fire, what are we supposed to do? Have any of you ever caught on fire and needed to stop, drop, and roll? No, but you practiced that as a child in elementary, stop, drop, and roll. You've never used it, but hopefully if you catch on fire, you're going to
stop, drop, and roll.
All right, so how many of you in the last 6 months have fallen?
Are you going to go to that today?
It happens. And then once you've fallen, unfortunately, it is fact that you are more likely to fall again. So if you are comfortable, there is plenty of room outside of the chairs. If you want to get on the floor with your cornerman, we call cornermen caregivers. We call caregivers cornermen in our gym. If you want to practice this while I walk you through it, I would love to walk you through it. If you are not comfortable and you want to video it, you can video it, or you can just watch Craig and Judy, and when y'all get home, you can go find that YouTube video and practice it, because I do not want you to catch on fire, but the life chances of falling only increase as we get older. So I want you to know how to get off the floor and not have to wait for your children to come find you because you didn't answer the phone. So, Mr. Craig, would you mind falling on the floor for me? Now, most falls are forward. Most, not all of them. And there is a way that I can teach you how to get over if you fall backwards. But Craig, you have fallen. No, get your You're falling. Okay.
Falling
You've
in
fallen
the
and you
picture.
cannot get up is what you said. Craig, I want you to rotate your wrist. I want you to rotate your feet. I want you to just kind of shimmy your hips a little bit. Did you break anything when you fell? All right, so you are ready to try and get up, right? Now, some of you live alone, but some of you have a caregiver. So Judy is going to be here to walk Craig through it in case he cannot get up. All right, Craig, so right now I want you to kind of come up into what we call tabletop. You're going to push yourself up. I want you to sit back onto your hips, and you're going to go into child's pose. The reason why I'm having Craig go into child's pose is I want to just check one more time that his hips are okay before I get him up off the floor. All right, Craig, so from child pose, I want you to push up into that tabletop. Good. We're on our hands and on our knees now at this point. Craig, I want you to bend your elbows like you're going to kiss the floor, and I want you to push yourself up. It's the bottom half of a push-up. Now, Craig is able to get himself up off the floor. I know this because we do this every time I coach Craig in a class. But let's say he's hurt himself and he needs Judy to be there. So Judy, I want you to come and put just one arm underneath Craig's, under his armpit. Craig, I want you to bring that other foot forward. Okay, see, he needed to kind of pull that foot forward. That's perfectly fine. Craig, I want you to push off that front foot. I want you to drive off that back toe, and you're going to push into Judy's arm. You did it, rock star. Okay, will you fall one last time? Front, on your full front. All right, now Craig's going to do it by himself. All right, Craig, I want you to push yourself up into that tabletop, back into that child's pose, all the way back on your ankles, like you're worshiping me. Nope, don't rush it. Like you're worshiping me. Come on. Child pose. Worship me. There you go. All right, now we're going to come up into tabletop. Now we're going to bend our elbows like we're going to kiss the floor. When you come up, I want you to step 1 foot forward. There you go. We're going to push off that back toe. We're going to push off our front foot. Don't come up yet. Hamstring bothering you? Okay, it's got a cramp. All right, we're not going to put our hands. There you go. We call this coach's stance. Because if he broke a wrist, he's still able to get himself up off the floor by pushing on that forearm, pushing on that front foot, pushing off that back toe, and rise. There you go. And so the other thing that I tell you, I want you to think about MacGyver. Do you know who MacGyver is? What did MacGyver do? He used whatever was nearby him to make whatever he needed. So I want you to use the toilet. I want you to use a chair. I want you to use the bumper. I want you to use the tire. Whatever it is nearby you, if Judy is not there to help you push yourself up, you're going to do it MacGyver style. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Now, you've been sitting for a little bit, so if you feel comfortable, will you go ahead and stand up for me real quick? If you need to, put one finger up on one hand, 2 fingers up on the other hand. All right, go ahead and switch. Switch, 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 switch. Even the dog's participating. Good job, good boy. All right, guys, what I want you to think about real quick is we're going to do a fall prevention exercise because I don't want you on the floor. Right now, in your feet, in your shoes, I want you to think about your heel driving into the floor, your baby toe, and your big toe. I want you to think about them being a tripod. Push those toes, push those heels, push the big fat toe into the ground. Do you feel how your stabilization changed when you dug all 3 points into the floor? Release and just stand like you would normally would. Now, activate that heel, activate that big toe, baby toe. Do you feel different in your core? Did you feel it? All right, act like I'm fixing to punch you in the gut. Kind of brace your abs. Now, squeeze both fists. Do you feel more solid, more stable? Yes, this is a fall prevention exercise. If you would stand anytime you are standing in line, anytime you are brushing your teeth, anytime you are doing the dishes, focus on baby toe, big toe, heel. Brace your abs. Obviously, if you're doing dishes or brushing your teeth, you can't make a fist, but you've just stabilized and made yourself a solid surface with your abs and your feet. You've made a stable stabilization. That's what I want you to practice, and you're going to build muscle just by standing there like that. That's going to help you because when you start to wobble, you're gonna be able to go. Plant those toes, plant those heels, brace your abs, and you will not fall. All right, relax. Stabilize. Relax. Stabilize. Do you feel the difference? Isn't it mind-blowing? Even just making a fist, you're gonna stabilize a little bit different, even if you can't get those toes. A lot of times with Parkinson's, we have a tendency to roll to the outside, or we have a tendency to roll to the inside. And it's actually not even has to do with Parkinson's. As we age, we have a tendency to roll to the inside or roll to the outside. So we have to activate those feet, muscles on the bottom of our feet. Thank you guys so much for giving me your attention. I will tell you, Mary Jane always loves when I share about our program. Anybody who's new, who has never tried it, or if it's been longer than 6 months and you want to come try it again, we do a 1-week trial so that we can figure out, one, if we're the right fit for you. You get to know what fitness level you're in. But I really want you to know what our program is about, because we are more than a boxing gym. And anybody who signs up today and signs up to start their, we're actually going to do a drawing for 1 month's worth of membership, because I really, really want y'all to know the resources that you have in this area. And I mean, how many 413 fighters do I have? Just, yeah. So thank you, Mary Jane, for letting me come.
Great job, boy, and some wonderful co-helpers here you had. Good job there. Thank you so much, Christy. We really appreciate that. That's wonderful. You know, one of the things I did mention is I've kind of walked around trying to meet new folks, is the opportunities we have here before us with the exercise. That exercise, research has proven, is the only thing that can slow the progression of Parkinson's. So we really encourage exercise. By the way, speaking of new people, how many, just by a raise of hands of you guys, this is your first time to come to a Parkinson support group meeting here? Okay, look at that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what I want to share, for all of you that might have seen someone next to you that raised their hand, reach out to them, because you remember that first time you came to the Parkinson. It's kind of, okay, somebody else is talking to me here. And all right. Okay, we'll just do a quick mute right there. Okay. Anyway, so the bottom line is, you remember that first time you came. So be sure to reach out to them and just let them know that we're all here. I always say that we're all on the same team, and some people refer to it as this is our tribe. But in any case, we are here to help you. I get phone calls, and by all means, call or email me if you have any questions. But with that said, we're very fortunate that I'm going to come back to my share screen and introduce our speaker. And let's see, we're right over here. Okay, super. And okay, you're now sharing, super. Okay, I got to let you know that the Michael J. Fox Foundation is very, very supportive and does a lot of research as well as just education. And we have a representative, and just leading into that, in Houston, they are going to have a program. And I went to this program about 4 or 5 years ago. It was wonderful. We did, COVID didn't stop the stuff. And this is really kind of like the first one getting back together. It's going to be in Houston. It's going to be on June 8th, 9 a.m. to 2. It's wonderful. So if you would like to really get some great education, this is going to be fabulous. So with that, we're very fortunate that the Michael J. Fox Foundation has allowed Alejandra Lopez Nueke to come to this meeting. And I want to say thank you. I'm going to tell you now, because we're recording it. This is kind of your area to be moving in.
Perfect.
Okay. You can forward it right here, because it's going to be updates of Parkinson's, and I got your slides all here ready.
Yeah.
So here you go. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. So Alejandra Lopez Hueque is my name. I did get married earlier this year. So yes, that's why the new last name, it's not reflected in my email yet, but you are emailing the right person. So my contact information is there. I also have business cards at my table. Please take one. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to talk a lot today about MJFF, or the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, but I want to hear from you all as well. So I'm going to leave time for questions at the end, but also if I said something and it didn't quite maybe make sense, you need me to say it one more time, you didn't hear me, raise your hand. I'll look for you and make sure I repeat myself. So we are here until Parkinson's isn't. This is a quote by Michael J. Fox. Optimism is a cure for many things. Optimism is also one of our staff values at the foundation. And while we're not living in la la land and thinking that, oh, if I just think that Parkinson's is going to go away, it'll go away. What we do is we take optimism at the foundation and we make sure that just because maybe one of the trials that we funded didn't work in the way we thought it was going to, doesn't mean that's a no. That's just a path that's leading us somewhere else. So we really take this seriously. We really do have this heart for optimism. And I want you to feel that today. I want you to know that the Fox Foundation's here as a resource for everybody as well, and that there are over 250 people working solely on research for Parkinson's, and that there's a lot of hope in that. So I'll just talk to you a little bit about what we'll discuss. So we'll get to know, you'll get to know MJFF, our mission and model. We'll do a lot of research updates. So that's going to be a big portion of today, and then ways to get involved. So like I said, here until Parkinson's isn't. We were founded in 2000 by actor and Parkinson's patient Michael J. Fox. Our goal is to find a cure for Parkinson's disease, and we want to do this through an aggressively funded research agenda and making sure that there are improved therapies for people living with PD today. So we have funded more than $2 billion in research programs to date. In 2023, we had over 100,000 donors who supported our mission. It's incredible what can happen when that amount of people come together. Our average donation is $50. So, yes, we're a big organization, right? But that gift goes a long way. In less than 90 days, the funds are in the hands of researchers, and we really pride ourselves. I actually looked at one of our finance reports, and it's actually in less than a month that money is really getting into the hands of researchers. So we are quick and wanting to use those funds immediately. PD doesn't discriminate, right? So you could be younger, older, any ethnicity, any walk of life. And that's why we make sure that we're funding projects not just in the US, but all over the world. So 40% of our projects are actually funded outside of the US. And then our CEO, Debbie Brooks, when Michael wanted to found the foundation, he knew he had a name, right? People knew who he was, but he didn't have that business acumen. He didn't have that scientific knowledge. So he knew that he needed to find somebody who could help him with that. So our CEO, Debbie Brooks, is also our co-founder. And her and Michael really put together this different model for a nonprofit, which really brings in the patient perspective, obviously from Michael, and then the business model. Debbie has a business background, and so we wanted to combine that. And then the science, we're funding research. So we needed to make sure that those three pieces were really the pieces that were the foundation of our organization, and they've remained so. So that's why we have that clear focus of research, doing it in this business-minded way, and always making sure that we're keeping the patient-centric view at all times. We're unique because we do have this large understanding of the Parkinson's landscape. Every researcher and everything that we research, it's all open to the public. So we want to make sure that we're not like when, one of those kids in class that was always covering their papers because they were so smart. We don't want to be that person. We want to be the person who is helping teach everybody and making sure that everybody understands, hey, this research didn't work, so don't waste your time and money doing it. But look, this did. Can you help us? Do you have any ideas about this certain trial or this certain repurposed drug that's on the market that might help with Parkinson's? We want to make sure all of that is widely available. And like I said, our money goes quickly to the hands of researchers, so there's no endowment. We start back at zero every year. And the needs of our patients are really what is compelling us to be able to fund the most promising research, not just for a cure, but for treatments that are going to help right now. Here are some approved therapies. It's a wonky graph. Don't look at it. Just look that there are now 41 treatments for Parkinson's symptoms. And then look at this. That down arrow, it says 46 years. In 46 years, from 1954 to 2000, there were 10 treatments in the market for Parkinson's. Then there's a bigger arrow at the bottom that says 19 years, from 2001 to 2020, from 2001 to 2020, 19 years, 29 more treatments. That only adds up to 39 because my graph's a little old, but 41 treatments on the market in the last 19 years, already 29 treatments. That's a lot in 19 years versus 10 treatments in 46 years, right? This just shows that the business model is working, that bringing together the patient needs, the scientists, and using a business model to make sure that we're efficient with our money and efficient with our resources, it works and it's continuing to work. You'll see this slide again a little later as well. So now we're getting into what's happened in the last year. So when we were here last year, we talked a lot about this biomarker. A biomarker is similar to, it's something that tells something about the disease, right? So a biomarker for diabetes is your A1C. A biomarker for showing if you have hypertension is your blood pressure, right? We now have a biomarker for Parkinson's. And why this is important is because we are now able to measure the clumping of alpha-synuclein, which is the biomarker, so this protein that's clumping in the brain, before symptoms occur. And that's a big deal because as it stood before last year, we only knew that somebody had Parkinson's by outward symptoms, right? Those motor symptoms. And now that we're able to do this before symptoms, before the onset of symptoms, it's changing the way that we're able to have clinical trials. We're not yet using this in a diagnostic manner, and that reason is because there is a subset of the population that have Parkinson's, have the same symptoms, but they don't have the clumping. And so that's just why we're not using it necessarily to diagnose people, but we are using it in clinical trials because what we believe is that this clumping protein is causing a toxic environment in the brain, and it's then causing dopamine cells to not work, which prevents those fluid movements in your body. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but so far this test is a yes or a no. Yes, you have the clumping. No, you don't have the clumping. And it's done through cerebral spinal fluid. And we're looking to move forward in some different areas to make it a more accessible test. So immediately, like I said, this is clinical trials. Clinical trials right now have already started implementing this test. So if there is, let's say if there's a drug in clinical trials that has been testing alpha-synuclein, maybe there's a treatment out there that they're thinking, hey, if we can reduce the amount of alpha-synuclein that is being produced in the body, does that stop Parkinson's symptoms? Well, now the people in the trials all have that clumping. So we're really able to see, okay, is that going to work or not? Versus having a bunch of people who maybe all just have the same outward symptoms, but inside the brain, they're different. That's why it's a big deal, right? With the trials right now. It makes for cheaper trials because you're not using as many people, more precise, and faster. So let me explain a little bit about, I'm going to give you a little analogy so that you can understand what I was talking about a little bit more with that alpha-synuclein. So if your brain is a fishbowl, everybody has alpha-synuclein in your fishbowl, okay? We're going to call those little green plants, right? Then the goldfish in your fishbowl brain is going to be the dopamine cells. So with somebody without Parkinson's, everything looks great. The fish are swimming, right? They have the little green trees, we'll call them. Now, for whatever reason, which we're still trying to find out, people with Parkinson's, all those trees start to clump together. And then the goldfish start to behave not in the same way that they were before. Maybe the goldfish stops swimming and we replace them. So what's that? Dopamine replacement therapy, right? Maybe that there's not enough of them. The goldfish don't populate. It's the same thing. Adding more dopamine into the brain. Because the goldfish can't survive in this environment where there's all this clumping and there's lots of these proteins and they're not being taken out. And right, so these trees and these green things are now almost acting as a fungus or something that's causing a toxic environment in the brain. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, good. I just want to make sure, because now when we talk about going into a cure and what a cure is, it's important to know that at the beginning, slowing and stopping the progression would be a cure for somebody, right? I mean, a cure can look differently for everybody. Somebody could say, stop my symptoms right now. That's a cure. Some people would say, no, but I've lost maybe some cognitive, I have some cognitive issues now. So I need to actually restore some things. And then, of course, prevention is the ultimate goal and cure for the future. So at this beginning, the alpha-synuclein, right? There's 13 therapies in clinical trials when it comes to this. One kind of therapy would be a vaccine approach, so similar to a flu shot. This would enable antibodies to come in and train your body to smooth out the alpha-synuclein, make it not all clump together, right? Those trees aren't clumping together anymore. Or maybe it would have your body reduce the amount of alpha-synuclein. So then you wouldn't have as much in there, and maybe then the goldfish would thrive and survive more, right? That toxic environment wouldn't be as apparent, as present. Another kind of therapy is the breaking down of the clumps altogether. So then making sure that your body is recycling those clumps, and everything is very connected here. So we also have some genetic targets, and we believe that the combination of genetics and environmental factors are what cause Parkinson's. And so we're looking into all different types of genes. We know that we have there are over a dozen genetic mutations associated with Parkinson's disease. And if those genes are in any way inhibited, they're not going to be able to do their jobs, which is then going to go back to this toxic environment. And so we look at, your cellular processes. What is your body doing? The lysosome system is a big one. So that's your kind of recycling, garbage taking out system within your body. If that's not happening, like think of the fishbowl again. If those trees or algae or whatever the toxic green things are in your brain, if they're just starting to continue to be there and not get taken out, then your brain, the dopamine cells, the goldfish aren't able to survive, right? So that's what your lysosome system does. And we know that inflammation, we've heard a lot about inflammation in PD. That's a very toxic process for your body, right? There's a lot of toxic byproducts that come with inflammation. And then your mitochondria, that's that, I always laugh because I hear the song where it talks about mitochondria being the powerhouse of the cell, but that's the energy, that's the gas. If you don't have the energy in your lysosome system or within your cells, they're not going to work the way that we need them to work. So it's all connected. And all of this is also connected when we think of just brain health in general. We've learned so much from Alzheimer's research, and we're very grateful to have learned from them. I mean, we kind of are just a few years behind them in some of these treatments and some of these studies. And they have the same problem in Alzheimer's where there's the accumulation of a certain protein. So we even believe that going forward, is this going to be called Parkinson's? Or will it move towards something maybe more with the protein, with alpha-synuclein? So that's why it's so important and why we're studying it so much. So back to these approved therapies. This shows, when we're looking maybe at the middle to restore somebody's, restore some losses or replace some losses that somebody may have with Parkinson's. We have this, if you can see kind of the colors, you can kind of see that there's different colors. You don't need to know what they stand for, but at the beginning, right, when you look in those 46 years, most of those are just for general motor treatments. There's the DBS in there, and there's some off-time medications as well. But then now you look over the last 19 years, and there's more treatments for non-motor symptoms like dementia, psychosis, hypertension. And that's really important because that's changing that landscape. We're not only focusing on the motor skills when when you've maybe had Parkinson's for a little bit longer, there are other side effects as well that we're making sure we're able to treat. And it's very important because that comes from our patient community. And so the feedback that we hear of, hey, I'm not just struggling with my tremor, I'm also struggling with my blood pressure, or, with my cognitive abilities as well. It's all stemming from the same place. So, right, help. And we have, and we're continuing to do so. And here's some therapies that are closest to regulatory approval. So there's different formulations of carbidopa-levodopa, which is very important. Dopamine replacement therapies have been like Sinemet. I'm sure everybody's heard of Sinemet. It's been the gold standard for 60 years. Now there's a liquid version, subcutaneous pump versions that are in trials, especially there's also some on the market, but then there are also others in trials that can help offer support for advanced motor symptoms. So this is something that's going to help more, when you have digestive issues and you're not sure how your medications, right? You take the pill format and you're not sure how that's going to sit or when that's going to kick in. The subcutaneous pumps, which is going to be a wearable device. If you think of them similar to an insulin pump is kind of how we refer to it. And I'll show you a picture on the next screen. But those can be life-changing for some people. We know a community member who lives in California. She used to take 12 pills a day for PD, and her daughter was studying abroad in Paris, and she thought there was no way she'd be able to, be on that flight that long and be sitting for that long and all of those things and the time difference. And she was really worried. But then she was in the trial for the pump and she said it felt like that to her, felt like part of a cure, the closest thing to a cure that she could think of right now, the most tangible thing, because she was able to go, she was able to travel. Her medication was, on autopilot. She wasn't having to think about when she needed to take her next medication. And so this is something that we are really excited about it being in the pipeline. We're hoping to see at least one of these approved this year. Sadly, one was just not approved, but they just need a little more data, the FDA does, but we're close, and that's a lot of hope. A couple other therapies. So there's a swallowing sensor. It sits, right on your neck, and it can help you with swallowing, drooling, eating, and even your speech. So it just kind of vibrates and then will help trigger your brain to make sure that you're able to, just remember, okay, like I need to swallow, it just will help mimic some of those sensors in your brain that just aren't working as well anymore. And then another interesting therapy that's on the horizon is Takeda, so this was a company that originally we funded for cognition for people with PD and maybe some focus issues, and it helped. But what we also found was it increases the production of acetylcholine, which is in the brain, and that can help with gait. So this is potentially the first therapy for gait that can be taken in pill form. That's a big deal. And then the subcutaneous pumps of levodopa, you can kind of see that this woman is wearing it as a little almost fanny pack. So it goes right around your middle. There's also a vest that you could wear as well. So just depending on where your insertion site is, but those are coming up and on the horizon, and we think that they can help make a big difference. So prevention, we are at the place of prevention. We know that it's so important to be able to manage symptoms better and have better treatments and find a cure in any manner. But we also know that prevention is where we want to head as well. So when I talked about the test that we now have and the biomarker that we now have, it all came out of our landmark study, which is called the Parkinson's Progression Markers Initiative, PPMI. And it was started in 2010 to help us, it's a longitudinal study, to help us monitor, really to validate biomarkers. So that's what we were trying to get out of it. We knew that we had the potential for biomarkers, but we just didn't have the study out there. Now, Alzheimer's had already done a similar study. And so we learned from them and we said, okay, well, this is what we're going to do next. And so we studied people, and this is where we were able to find out that there were people in the study who had Parkinson's, who did not have Parkinson's, and who were at risk for Parkinson's. Maybe they acted out their dreams, so Rett behavior sleep disorder, or had a family member with Parkinson's, had a genetic mutation. And that's how we found that even before the symptoms had started, they had the accumulation of alpha-synuclein. So this study has been wildly successful. There are over 2,500 data downloads a day of this data. It has everything from skin samples to cerebral spinal fluid to brain scans, DAT scans, any kind of biometric data that we could take from somebody, we were going to. And we're so grateful for all of those participants. We have grown from 33 to 50 plus people. And we've grown from 50 plus sites, clinical sites, and it's international. One of the newest ones was in Nigeria recently. We've grown from 1,400 to 4,000 participants, and we're just continuing to grow. And we're recruiting now. So people recently diagnosed, people with risk factors, or control volunteers as well. It's a great way for care partners to go ahead and get involved if that's something that you're interested, we're recruiting for sure. So speaking of ways to get involved, how else can you get involved? Participating in clinical trials. So similar to PPMI, there are also an abundance of clinical trials. Fox Trial Finder is on our website, and I actually have some handouts too over at my table. But this is an incredible way to participate if you're willing and able. I actually looked up that there are 17 trials within 50 miles of Georgetown. And I make sure to look up Georgetown and not Austin. So don't worry. I'm a Texas girl myself, so I understand there's a difference. I live in Grapevine. I do not live in Dallas, and that's a big difference. And then while PPMI and Fox Trial Finder really focus on biologically what's happening, Fox Insight is an online study where you can more tell like socially what is happening to people with PD. It's very good insight because it focuses on that lived experience, which is also just as important. And speaking of the lived experience, our policy team right now has a big initiative to pass the national plan. And our national plan, it's going to be a cohort, a national plan to end Parkinson's. Sorry, I didn't finish the word. Our national plan to end Parkinson's is a big cohort of people who we want to make sure that there's legislators in there, that the national government's participating, as well as researchers, as well as people with Parkinson's, experts in the field of brain health. They're all coming together so that we're able to understand how much it costs to live with Parkinson's, how much it costs to care for somebody with Parkinson's, what resources are missing in the US government, right? What does Medicare and Medicaid not cover? All of these things have been done by smaller groups, but what we need is a big national plan to make sure that really the national government understands that this is a public health issue and a public health concern and a priority within our public health. So right now, this is a big way. If you know your senators, then maybe you could write them a letter, or you can participate online. There's a bunch of different resources. We have a whole team who helps you with this, but you can sign petitions and just really let your legislators know that this is important to you. There's no financial commitment for the federal government. It's just bringing people together, which will then show them that hopefully our federal government will help us fight for a cure and help us fund a cure for Parkinson's disease. But at this time, we just want them to know how important we are, and how important people with Parkinson's are. And so that's a big way to get involved right now. We also have live webinars and on-demand webinars. I know that Mary Jane's the best at promoting. She always promotes ours, so thank you so much. She talked about, our PDIQ, which is a completely free event. It stands for Parkinson's IQ plus you. And it's a completely free event that we're having in Houston. I know it's a little bit of a drive, but I hope y'all can make it. I will be there. It's actually the day before my birthday, so you can celebrate my birthday with me if you'd like. And it's a great event. There's great speakers and panelists and an info fair as well. So it's honestly such a good event. We also have some Team Fox events, like different golf tournaments that people host. And so if you're ever interested in doing something like that, you can help with our Team Fox. Our podcasts are wonderful to listen to, just around the house or driving on a road trip. And then we have Ask the MD blogs, which are very informative on all different types of topics, from newly diagnosed to having been diagnosed several years or decades ago. So we also have the Buddy Network, which is an online platform that came out of COVID for everybody to join and be able to talk. You can anonymously ask questions. You can ask for recommendations, maybe for physicians, or ask anything. Ask those awkward questions that you might think are awkward, but are perfectly normal and have probably been answered on there several times. And it's just a good place to get support, to find information, and to have that community. It's our buddy network. Yes. And I'll make sure that these slides can be shared with all of you as well. So I'll make sure that they're updated and sent to you all. And the most important thing you can do is take care of yourself. So exercise was a great start to this because exercise is medicine in all things that we do, but especially in Parkinson's. So yoga, tai chi, boxing, but also whatever you're going to stick with. So if that's walking around the house, if that's stabilizing yourself, right? That was a really good lesson. And I need to practice that. I'm 4 months pregnant and I need to make sure that I can hold my baby and be strong, right? So I loved that exercise. Self-care activities, maybe that's meditating, praying, if you know, anything that can help you. Art is a meditative and self-care activity as well. Diet, balanced diet, which is sometimes hard in Texas, where we love our red meat and our carbs, but we can do it. We can have a balanced diet. That's important as well. And then building your care team. So having your movement disorder specialist, having a physical therapist or a speech therapist, a counselor. And I'm not a medical professional, but I still would love to count as part of your care team if I can. You know, we're here to be a resource, to answer any questions, to guide you to wherever you need to go. And you guys are already doing that by being here today. So that's the most beautiful thing is you came to this support group and all of you online joined as well. So with that, my main goal was really just to make sure that you felt hopeful and informed and you know that there's this big team that's rallying around you. So I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is this. I've applied for a number of clinical tests and been refused every time, which I believe is on account of my age. I'm 82 and the cutoff seems to be 80. Does that sound right to you?
I'm gonna have to look for you. I can go in, what I can do is I can go in there and pretend that I'm 80 and just see if anything comes up. Because I can just put I can put a fake age in there for me. And look, well, I'll put 82. And look, but you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one. But I'll make sure to go look. What I do know is that they are updated a lot and like very often they're updated. So, and there are some that are online. So also make sure that if you're interested in online, that there's that as well. But let me look for you because I'm not sure on that. And so I'll look. And if that is the case, I'll bring that up to our researchers and tell them, hey, you know, we see that there are people that want to participate, but they can't because of their age. What can we do about it?
Thank you
So
very much.
yeah, of course, of course. Thank you for your question.
Any other questions out here? Okay, there's one.
Your slide on going through here, last bullet on it was to make it happen before diagnosis. How do you do that?
Okay, repeat the question so we can catch it up there.
So on one of my slides, it talked about prevention and prevention before the onset of symptoms. How can we do that? So that's where this biomarker test comes to play. What we're hoping for is right now, like I said, it's only used in research. We want it to be used as a public health screening. So we want eventually, right, when you go in for your annual exam and you're a certain age, you get a colonoscopy, you get a mammogram, you're going to get a brain health screen as well. So a preventative, that's what we are hoping for moving towards. Right now, the test is only in cerebral spinal fluid, which is not fun. Nobody wants to do that voluntarily, right? But we're looking to move it to maybe a nasal swab, blood test, There's actually a promising skin puncture, which is working, but that's 3 punctures in your skin, and that's also not as comfortable, but it's better than a spinal tap. And so we're moving towards that. We are moving towards that to have that as, if you know, maybe it's when you hit 60, everybody does it, but maybe for some people with risk factors at 40 or at 30, you're doing your brain health, your brain health scan.
Diagnosed 60,
Mm-hmm.
and probably started having them around 50.
Yeah,
There's 10 years
that
I could have been doing something
absolutely.
for myself.
Yeah. So the gentleman was telling me, what is your name? Wayne. Wayne was telling me that he was diagnosed at 60, but probably at 50 he had symptoms, and there's 10 years, right? That he could have been doing something, and that's frustrating. So we're moving. We are very passionate, but we think that in a clinical diagnosis, so that when somebody feels like, hey, I have these symptoms that I can't explain, and maybe it's not quite to the point of a tremor or a lot of stiffness, but maybe it's a slight enough to say something's going on with my body, and you go to your neurologist and they can do a nasal swab, right? Just to see if that's in the realm of possibility before you actually have the symptoms. We're moving towards that.
Does Parkinson's affect men more than women?
Does Parkinson's affect men more than women? No, a very common thought. And we actually have been extremely intentional recently about making sure that our studies include people of all genders, ethnicities, races, because men have been studied more, and sometimes it's because the symptoms in women can be very different than the symptoms in men. I mean, I know somebody who's talking to me about how she had shoulder surgery, and was told she just had a problem with her shoulder when really she had Parkinson's. And so she had a whole unnecessary surgery, but really it was Parkinson's, but because she was young and a woman, they didn't think about Parkinson's in that way. But that's changing. And so it is changing. And we're trying to be very intentional on that as well. Yes. Yes, go ahead. So the question is, have researchers looked into diet? I'm walking back. Yes, diet. So that Parkinson's could start in the gut. That's absolutely, it's not proven quite yet, but it's being studied a lot. And so, but we have a great diet guide that I'll make sure to share with the group. There's not one diet that works, but something similar-ish to a Mediterranean diet. So fish, veggies, lower carb, less on the red meat, less on the yummy stuff.
And we were just talking, I was just sharing with her, nightshade vegetables, okay, actually have an ingredient in it that can sometimes help stimulate the dopamine. You maybe tell a little bit about that.
Yes. So there's a lot of research on vegetables and seeing what kind of nutrients your body can turn those into. Now I will say, I mean, greens in general are very, very good, but I will say, just because you do that, but it can help. It can help. And I think just continuing to talk to your physician when you're making these changes, and then asking, if you find a positive change, noting it, making sure you're being very cognizant. Thank you. Good. Those vegetables are good. Well, because they can help stimulate the dopamine. Yes, but as does exercise. So that's good too. But just eating those aren't, we know that. Just doing one thing, it can help, and anything that can help is good and exciting. So we have found a lot, and I'll send you the diet guide, because our diet guide is top tier. And we just released a new exercise guide as well, which is really good and very helpful. So both of those combined, it does help. It does help. I mean, your changes in diet, your changes in exercise, they really do help. And it helps just in general, all of us need it, but especially it is medicine in Parkinson's. And we know that.
Any other questions? This is the perfect time to ask. Okay, I'll ask the one that has been asked to me that I've already had her, she did a little research on it. Can a nicotine patch help with Parkinson's symptoms?
Can a nicotine patch help with Parkinson's symptoms? The research that we found is that it's still inconclusive. We're not sure. So that's something that's still being studied. Similarly, I'm sure there's a lot of repurposed drugs out there. And we do have a repurposed drugs guide. Like I was talking with somebody earlier about Ozempic. There still needs to be more research on people with Parkinson's. That's where that gap lies, is that it's been researched, but not necessarily on people with Parkinson's for an extended amount of time. Also, it wasn't able to be measured before, right? We weren't able to measure the amount of alpha-synuclein that was clumping in the brain, and we're still not able to measure quantitatively, but we can say yes or no. It's binary right now. But I mean, talk to your physician. Talk to your movement disorder specialist. That's always the best advice I can give you. But just know that those repurposed drugs, because we've already found that they're safe in people in general, right? Which is kind of that first step. They are easily able to be studied and a little more quickly. It's just making sure that there are people with Parkinson's in the trial.
You said repurpose, are you using it off-label?
Off-label, yeah, repurposed and off-label. Yes, exactly.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, golly, I mean, this has been great. I know she can probably hear me pretty good, and I just appreciate it so very much. One of the things that, and then we do share this, and I put it in my newsletter often, is the research kind of at the bottom toward the end of the my newsletter is a lot about different research, smell, and I know you shared with them about the smell, and you've got some stuff over there for them to pick up. And I just want to encourage you to do that. Also, Dr. Swallow, Dr. Peckham, several of our doctors are doing some current research studies. Are y'all doing any Michael J. Fox studies with them that you know of offhand? I should have asked you earlier.
I don't know offhand, but
Yeah.
I'll look.
Yeah.
I'll look. There has to be, because there's 17 within 50 miles. So there has to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll look.
Wow. So, and they have them. So talk to your physician, whoever your physician is. If it's, I know those two are definitely very active in doing research, but that's part of the focus really of the Michael J. Fox is all the research you guys do, which is just fabulous. And we're so fortunate to have Alejandra to be here because, I mean, she came in from Dallas, but in the past they've flown them in from New York, and we're just delighted that you're here. And I actually saw you. I think some of your compadres are are watching. So this is wonderful. So we've got New York watching us right now too. So welcome.
So she asked if, since I live in Grapevine, if I do anything in Grapevine, and I really don't, other than I went to the Dallas area Parkinson's. I visited them and went to a lecture with them, but I really I try to travel a lot, at least once a month, to go to different places. But honestly, Texas is, I mean, such a big state. We know that. So Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, but also I cover Colorado. I cover 10 different states. And so I try to travel and go see community members and then give support group presentations whenever I'm invited, and I love it. It always makes me happy to see everybody. But I'm available, online. You can email me to see if there's something maybe that you've asked and it's hard to get an answer on. The nice thing is I have access to our 15 researchers that are on staff. We have a researcher every month who's dedicated just to my team, to a different researcher every month to answer questions that we get from community members. The more questions we get, the more these researchers are aware of the lived experience with Parkinson's. So that's really important. So ask me your questions so I can relay them. And if I don't have an answer, at least it's on the researcher's radar, right? And so, yeah, so please reach out.
Wow. You get involved.
How did I get involved? I actually was approached by a recruiter. And I was working in Dallas and actually during my interview process, I had gotten engaged and then when, they told me, hey, you'd be able to travel once a month, which I love to travel, and but also you get to work from home remotely, and that sounded just so appealing for such a great organization. I don't think you know this, Mary Jane, but when I was here last year, my grandmother was actually diagnosed with Parkinson's. And so now even I have a dear, dear friend who hosted my bridal shower. Her husband has Parkinson's. And so now I have a whole community, and it was such a blessing to be working for the Fox Foundation when I found out that my grandmother has PD. She's 90, she's thriving. She lives in Mexico and came to my wedding in February, and I got some really special photos and got to hang out with her, and it was just beautiful. But we have resources in different languages, and she lives in Mexico, so I was able to send Spanish resources to my family. And when something like that happens, you know that there's just somebody shining down on you and helping you and has brought you to the right place. So, yeah, that's how I got involved. And man, the Fox Foundation has been so great. I was hired February of last year and, did a whole year of training and got married early this year, and expecting our first baby, a baby girl. And so the Fox Foundation really is a family, and they've celebrated me every step of the way, and it's just been a big blessing, and I'm grateful.
A lot of people want to know about Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, tell them a little bit about.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to be in the same room as him, but not to shake his hand or meet him yet. But I will. And he's just as charismatic as you would think. He's actually a lot shorter than I thought. Like he might be my height. He's so cute, has the best smile. And when he speaks, you're just captivated and motivated. You just are filled with this hope. He is always moving at 100 miles an hour. Right. He's had Parkinson's for over 30 years. So, he has his struggles and good days and bad days. But he travels a lot. He's bi-coastal. And he comes to some of our signature events. He always makes it to our gala in November. He comes to our golf tournament in the summer as well. And people obviously love having him there. And he loves being around everybody. And gosh, he's just an incredible man. And I know you all had a screening of his documentary still, and that was so powerful. And I felt like really embodied him. And just he's very authentic, and now he's one of people's most influential people. People Magazine just honored him, which is so incredible. So yeah, we're lucky that he's involved in the foundation and attends some of our staff meetings virtually and comes to our events. And so we're happy he's involved.
Well, I just want to say thank you very, very much.
You're the best. Thank you.
All righty, and you can tell them that we counted 86. So we've had a nice turnout that have been here, and I just want to say thank you to everyone. I am going to and this is I think several people here. We've increased our Zoom crowd, so that's even wonderful. I'm going to come back to our share screen and get us just back on track here. And let's see, current slide. Okay, there we go. Whoop. And then I got to take it off of presenter view. There we go. Okay, we are back back on. Now I've got to hide these guys. For some of you that might have noticed that it was difficult for those that are in person to see some of her slides, we will get a copy of the slide deck. Plus, it is perfect on the recording. So I will send out the link for the recording. So just know that that will be coming to you and it'll be very easy to see. Next week or next month, we are going to have Dr. Justin Chavez, who is going to be speaking to us. He is, it's going to be May 23rd. He's with the PAM Rehabilitation, and it'll be a topic all on rehab. So just letting you know about that. And again, we want to thank you all for being here. Our sponsors, we want to thank for sure our Exercise 413, and of course, Alejandra, who has come in. Now, one of the things about exercise, and she was talking about it, another way of getting to do your exercise is to also lift chairs. Now, we're not at the point of lifting chairs yet, but we don't leave yet because we need help with putting all of our chairs up, put our tables up. And that's one of the agreements that I have with the church in order to get this facility is that they set it up for us, but we have to take it down. So we'll be doing that. But before we do that, we've got some fabulous door prizes. And here's our door prize team. Did everybody get a ticket? Because if you didn't get a ticket, by all means, I want to be sure you get one. Okay, so now we got some over here so you can be in the, I'm going to take it off of share screen. And let's see. Okay. Well, now let me get over here. There we go. Got that. Stop share screen. Okay. Okay. We got Miss Patty. For y'all in the Zoom crowd that never seen, this is Patty. She's my right arm and my left arm. She takes care of everything. I give Patty around her. She does help out so much. We got Chris that helps out. We got a wonderful group of volunteers that are helping out. But okay. So our first door prize winner, what are they going to get? Ooh, all right. We've got some beautiful hand towel. Oh, no, apron. Okay, this looks like 429. Winner 429. Going once, twice. So they have to be here, have to be present to win. Okay, so now we'll go to the next one. This is going to be 419. 419. Do we have a 419?
I don't think that's me.
Is that? Well, all right. Okay, so the next Chrissy with 413 Boxing and Fitness. Thank you, Miss Chrissy, for a donation of a beautiful plant right there. 404. Do we have a 404? Oh, there we are. Hey. 404. Okay, and our next one is it 1,000-piece puzzle. Is this one of the ones that huh?
1,000-piece?
Yeah. Did you win one? No, oh no, you're just coming here to help run.
Yeah.
All right, we got another runner.
Our board members.
Okay, we are very, very fortunate to have some wonderful board members. Let's see, Karen. Karen, wave your hand. She's what she helps us out. But we also have another one, Miss Julie. I saw Julie stand up there. There she is. Julie's what? So we have 2 board members here today. 3 board members because Patty is a board member also. Super. So, okay, Miss Patty girl, let's see who gets this one. 427 for this 1,000-piece puzzle. Cognitive stimulation. Hey.
Does anybody claim?
Yeah, okay. And is this our last one here? Oh, last 2. Oh, I got a candle here. Okay, 372. 372. Oh, no, 372. No.
That's me.
That's you. And there you go. Well, what's your number? We'll see.
Let me.
Okay, here we go. Then Okay, this is coffee. Yes, this is the donation. Oh, yeah, that is, okay. 446. 446. Well, all right. Hey. There you go. On that side, thank you, Cindy. We have Cindy and Chris, and both Cindy and Chris went with me 2 years ago. We went to Washington, D.C., and it was fabulous. And in fact, it inspired Cindy to do the art therapy, what she learned there. And if you sign up to come to the one that we're going to have in November, she'll be doing a breakout session on a national level with people. So it's fabulous. We're just so delighted to have her. She's wonderful. Yes. No, what that is. Oh, you going to open up? They told me, how you have these things that you can connect, or you can pair with your computer or your radio. So this is one of those speakers that you don't have to, like a Bluetooth speaker. That's what it is. Thank you. Thank you. I need some help there. Bluetooth speaker. Yeah. So it's a very nice one. Okay. Ready? 400. Oh, oh, that's wonderful. I am so excited. And that was donated by Michelle and Roy Peck. All right. So I think we've got them all done. We want to thank again our sponsors, our exercise person, and of course, Alejandro with the Michael J. Fox. So we want to just thank you all for coming. Thank you to everybody in attendance, and thank you for putting up chairs and tables. All right. See you next month. Bye.